Hello, everybody. Happy end of October. We have 2 days of October left. Okay, so today's video should be pretty short because we don't have any monthlies to go through or anything like that. We are almost done with the first week of the quarter, so that is out the way. So listen, we have a lot of heavy data next week. Excuse my frog in my throat. I know my voice is like normally deep, but I don't know. This morning it's like, but all right, I know. All right, so economic data on Monday is not a whole lot. This Dallas Fed manufacturing probably will not do not much, but then we have so much. Starting Tuesday, we have this employment costs, housing prices. We have Chicago PMI and CB consumer confidence. I am not quite sure what this is, but the PMI may actually do something. Okay. Then on Wednesday, we have all of this in the morning. So in the morning, we have global manufacturing PMI, JOLTS job opening, right? All, of course, the oil stuff, that's normal. But then here we go. At 2 o'clock, the Feds give us our interest rate, and at 2:30, we have Powell. All right, so that's Wednesday. On Thursday morning, we have our normal stuff, the initial jobless claims, factory orders. I don't think that's really going to do much. And Friday is non-farm payrolls. All right, so, and global PMI, ISM services PMI is PMI all next week. You know, I might take that some time this weekend and kind of understand that, because if I'm not mistaken, it's PMI on 3 different days next week. So that's kind of weird. Fed speech at 3:30 p.m. also weird, but that is what we have for the week. All right, so let's look at our stuff. We're just going to look at it on the week because we know that the month is almost over. So the VIX has now held well above its 200 on the weekly, and the EMAs are pointing up and trying to cross above. That is generally bullish. Uh-oh. It's early, so I'm starting to yawn again. That is generally bullish. So unless it does an evening star, because this also could be an evening star on the week, and does a 2 up, 2 down, even then it could still come into this quarter and month open, and stay green, and you know, it could do something like this to get to the top of that downtrend. All right, so don't give up on VIX yet. Also, VIX is above our 200, and almost all the EMAs are crossing. It's just this one left that needs to cross. You have an inverted head and shoulders here, supported by that 200. So the VIX is still looking green. It's still looking like it's bullish and it has room to go. You'll see that with some of these charts. As much as we've fallen, we still have room to go. All right, the dollar is consolidating. So for 4 weeks now, we've been stuck in this range, and that's the range that we're in. We see the top here at about 106.94. Bottom is about 105.50-ish. And so it almost looks like it's flagging. So it could try to break through this broadening formation. We do know that once it gets past 108, it has a really long way to go. But that is the dollar. NASDAQ. So last week we were here, we said we had our head and shoulders. It's played out. Now this is the theme that you're going to see. A lot of these stocks have this 2 down, red, no actionable signal for next week, but plenty of room to still go down. Okay, so like some of them triggered their 2 weeks. So this hit it, but if you're looking for something to see what how much more magnitude it is, look at the quarter. Okay, I just took away all the lines so that you can see that the NASDAQ has triggered the quarter down. That target is way down there. So we have a lot of room that we can drop. Okay, we've had 3 red months in a row, but here we had 5 green months in a row. All right, so I wanted to remind y'all also that even if you take the move, we still have a while to go to get halfway, to give up even halfway of the move that we had from last October. Okay, so at least 13,186, and then it could possibly go and finish the quarter down. Okay, so remember that when looking at these stocks, yes, a lot of them do have this 2 down. With the data that we have this week, all of those things going on, we could just have another 2 down. I would prefer an inside week if we could do like a 2-1, 2 down, but I really doubt that we're going to be inside when we have Powell, non-farm payrolls, PMI, Fed interest rate decision. I'm expecting it to be a little volatile. The only other thing that I wouldn't mind is if it opens and takes out last week's low and does a 3 on the week. That may be the relief pop that we need before we keep moving down. All right. Also see the NASDAQ is sitting at its 200 on the weekly. So it could definitely reverse from here. Can Apple save the market? Can Powell save the market? We shall see. But you see it broke through my downtrend and my monthly uptrend. So I left these lines so that y'all could see that it has broken through. If anything, I would, like I said, it could 3 on the week and come back up and retest this. It can retest where it dropped through this, this trend line here. It could retest there. But right now, I know for me, because on the weekly it is in between these 2 EMAs, I wouldn't touch it unless it broke down, or unless it broke down and did the 3 on the week, like I was saying before. All right, so see here, we are right at our 200 for the NASDAQ, okay? So now we did a 2-1, and we will go whichever way we decide. We may hang out here for a bit, but we still have this gap down here to fill, okay? Got this gap, and we got possibly the quarter target. So keep those things in mind when you're playing those. Again, with the Dow, we have our 2 red weeks, no actionable signal here. However, it could still come down to the bottom of this broadening formation. If you look at it on the quarter, it's actually already hit its target. So, but it still has more room to go. At this point, for most of these, because we are back under our 200, what happened here is we came down, we retested it and come down. I am bearish. So almost everything that is under its 200 like that, with almost all of the EMAs 200, I am bearish. So that means that what I would be looking for is here a possible pop, because we know that squeezes happen in bear markets, and we're almost turning into a bear market here. So for a pop, I would expect us to come up and retest either this 8, maybe even this 30 before we continue down. Okay, so we're looking bearish. We could definitely do something like this where it went right back above it, but I would wait to see honestly what Apple does. Apple is going to be the catalyst this week, and Powell. All right, so IWM is really interesting, y'all. Now, it did the red strat on the quarter, and it did exactly what I love about red strats. That's one of my favorite setups. I mean, it really boomed, and it took out 2 previous targets and a third. Okay, like it just, all of this chop that it went through for months was taken out very quickly. Okay, look at this. This was chop. And within 3 months, the 2 and 2 down took it all down. I played IWM, and I absolutely adored it. It did absolutely wonderful. It has now broken this downtrend. And again, I'm going to clean my lines up after this video, but I wanted to show y'all how we had these lines here and it broke through, and what that tells you right there. Now it's sitting at a support. So can it still go lower? Yes. but we know good and well it has bounced from here 3 times before. So we'll have to see what happens. If it does continue down, we do know that we have more room to go to the downside, okay? So find your entry and keep it going. The Qs. The Qs are now in between 2 EMAs as well, but it looks just like NASDAQ. Alright, so the head and shoulders played out. We're sitting on the 200 on the weekly and on the daily. So we have this inside day here. Want to see what is it going to do here. Are we going to come back up and retest before dropping again? Or what? We do have a gap down here to fill at 333, so that's what we're going to target. Spy Tisha. Head and shoulders played out again. That uptrend line has been broken. And it actually was broken last week, but we were seeing to see if it was going to recover like it had did before. No. The trend line has been broken, y'all. I am bearish on SPY. We are under our 200 on our weekly and on our daily, okay? Looking at it on the daily. Excuse the lines again. I kept these up here so y'all can see what happened. We broke through here, came back up, and I mean, didn't even really retest it like how here it just fell. Alright, so if anything, I think we will come back up and retest maybe even the 200. But we printed this head and almost shoulder here and died. Do we have room to drop? Yes, we do. Alright, we got this little gap. This is a teeny tiny gap, but we do have a little gap here at 407, and I think that 403 is going to be a really strong support. As you can see here, it was a resistance before, and now it's going to be a really strong support. 400 psychological level, and then there's another gap here at 396 if SPY wants it. Alright, so I'll probably redraw my lines by next week, but right now I'm leaving them here because I wanted to show y'all this. Now, I believe on the monthly, oh yeah, no, because this is a double. Oh yeah, there it goes. This is the monthly broader formation at 403. Alright. Apple has earnings on Thursday. So what's going to happen here? So Apple broke through our 200, and Apple does still have room to fall. So Apple is sitting right at the trigger for the quarter down. I want you to notice something. So is XLK. All right. Apple is about, I want to say 26% of XLK. Don't quote me there. And Microsoft is another, it's also like 25% or something like that. So those are the two big dogs that run XLK. We know Microsoft had its earnings already. Ooh, we know Apple is next. So if Apple breaks this 168 level, then the next level down is around 160. We know that if Apple comes down, it's going to bring the market down. And we know the market still has room to fall, y'all. Sorry, hopefully y'all didn't hear that. Okay, so on the daily, we have broken through our 200. Just barely though. Just a fresh TTO right here. Have to see how it reacts. If anything, I would expect to at least come back up and test this 200. You got a head and shoulders here, so your shoulder can literally go all the way. It really can go all the way up here to 176. We may see that. That's kind of been the earnings thing, how what's been happening. You've had it pop up, TTO something, and then come back down. Well, Amazon didn't do that, but Microsoft and Google. Well, Microsoft did, because Google just died. Alright, so if we do have any downside, we do have a small gap here to target at that 159, which I believe was the quarter target. So that's what we'd be looking for with Apple and earnings. Microsoft already had its earnings. This is the pop that I was talking about and the return down. I like Microsoft for next week because I feel like we do still have, like I said, we do still have weakness in the market. Bearish mostly on everything. Except Microsoft has not hit this 200 yet. It came close, but this is what I'm targeting. I need you to come on down to this. Well, it hit 309. That's close enough. But what this is doing here is flagging. Okay, now I probably need to, oh hello, probably move this like that. I don't really like that. Maybe I'll count that one. More so like that. Alright, came up rejected and we got a 3 here. Now this, even though this outside week is green, it's still almost for the most part a shooter. So if we see more weakness, we can see a 3-2 down on Microsoft. 323 will be your first target. 321, which will be this upwards trend line that it's bounced from, and then it could really go. Alright, 311, then hit this 200 on the weekly and the daily. So out of all the things that we have looked at so far, Microsoft has not come, to test this 200 on the daily. So that's what I'll be looking for. Now it had earnings, it popped, it died, and it came right back into this chop area, looking to see if it will lose it and come down here. We do have a fairly large gap here at 281 if it wants to go for it. If we want to continue to have more downside, that's what I would be looking for. Also, I did want to point out, well, this inverted head and shoulders did kind of pop right there, so it's already kind of played out. But because it's still being supported by this shoulder area, that 327 area, it could still try to pop up again. So yeah, be aware of both ways that can go. And so our sectors quickly, today should be quick, y'all. No actionable signal here. This has actually, I believe, moved halfway. Oh. Come on, there we go. Yes. So we're right at the halfway mark on XLY. So this will be interesting. This is a point where either it can recover here and go back to the upside, or if it passes the 61.8, I'm left to think that it's going to continue all the way to the 100 and give all of that up. Okay, because usually people buy at the 50% level, sometimes even the 61.8, rarely at the 78.6. But yeah, I'm looking to see if it's going to continue to drop there. Where'd it go? There we go. Looking at it on the daily, it's under its 200, so I'm bearish. All right. XLK sitting at its 200. Again, this looks just like an Aztec in between these two EMAs, but we bounce right there at the 200 on the weekly. On the daily, this looks just like the Qs and Apple. We're sitting at the 200. All right, we have a gap here that we could fill to the downside. But yeah, that's where it's sitting. XLF died. This has actually hit its quarter target, so we are almost hit its quarter target. Wait a minute. Nope, I'm sorry. This is a rev strat on the quarter. So our quarter target is 30.34. So we actually still have room to go to the downside. One play that is still doing that is Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo, if it wants to rev strat on the quarter, 35.28 is what I'm looking for with them. And JP Morgan, it's not a rev strat, but it does still have room to drop down to 125. So you can get another $10 drop there. Alrighty. XLC, no actionable signal, but came down to touch the 200. Just took all these folks out real quick. It's so crazy when you have chop like this and then it gaps down twice and takes it all out. So now we're looking like the Qs. We are sitting at the 200. We do have gaps to fill to the downside if we do want to continue to the downside. But yeah, that is XLC. XLE Energy. We knew that this was going to happen. It hit our rev strat target perfectly. ZOM was one that I played last week, but CVX was even better. Kind of upset that I chose ZOM over CVX, but whatever. So that's how we are looking on XLE so far. You have basically hit your targets. So there's no actionable signal here. We gotta just have to see what it does, especially to see if it holds this upward trend line. Oh wait, wanted to look at it on the daily. we are sitting right at our 200. So that's all I wanted to point out. XLU, we're below everything. And what I tell y'all, this is how we know we're bearish. We're below all the EMAs and they're all pointing down. This is still in bear mode. So if you have a rip, short the rip. Okay. This, shout out to Shay. I don't know if she watches anymore, but she has me learning this sell model and buy model thing. It almost looks like a sell model. So you have the chop, the drop, the chop, and then are we gonna drop again? So I just said that without really, but just letting y'all know, it's bearish. On the week, we are under all of these. So you know that when we look at the day, we're gonna be far below it. So bearish on utilities. All right. XLI, almost starting to look like XLU. We are under our 200 on the weekly. All of the EMAs are turning down and they have almost crossed all below there. This is a strong level of support here, but once it loses about 95.23, it can still go. We have a shoulder here. This is a head, and this is your shoulder area. So your shoulder area is going to run from 96 all the way up until about 103, 87-ish, 103. Okay, so it could still bounce up here. It could do this over here before it actually drops. But XLI, we are bearish. All right, we printed a head and shoulder right below the 200. With the exception of this one, it's about to cross. Everything is crossing to the downside, so we are bearish on XLI. XLV is another one that we are bearish on. No actionable signal here. This basically just took out a whole bunch of stops. And it hit my monthly broadening formation. So we have probably reached some type of exhaustion. Look at this. This is ugly, y'all. This type of price action, this is not something you want to play. And this is on a monthly. So this started, let's say it started around October of 2021. Get out of here. So between 124 and 143, healthcare has just washed below. Now we're finally breaking. So does it have room? Yes. It finally broke through the monthly broadening formation. It was almost at inverted head and shoulders, but this broke through that. So there's no true pattern here except to say that it's in a downtrend. We're bearish on it. We're under our 200. Far under it. So this is short the rip mode. And the best way to get entries on things like this is once it's exhausted like that, wait for it to come back up and retest like this. You see how it did this? It's far away from the EMAs, came back up, retested them twice, printed almost a double top and died, and respected that EMA coming down. Okay, so that's what you would look for: a retest and then a die, maybe even a creation confirmation trend like Jay says. Alrighty, XLP all turned down. I mean, this thing is bearish. It's super bearish. It has hit its bearish target. So again, I will be looking for some type of retest and rejection. Actually, it's already done that. You see how it's been respecting, retest, and rejected. So there's no actionable signal here except the fact that it's in a downtrend. So if you see it pop up, the best thing to do is to wait for the rejection and short it again. It's the best way to get entry on some of these. XLRE, you see that we broke through the bear flag here, and our break still breaking down. Still more room to go, and we are bearish. We are under the 200, so we are still in short the rip mode. Y'all notice that on the last 6 ones we've been under the 200 and bearish. Now our major players haven't got there yet, but they're getting there, so just know that. Materials, XLB, same thing. We are under all EMAs and bearish. This was almost an inverted head and shoulders, but it died. So now it's more like this would be a shoulder, head, your shoulder area. So 81 would be the top of that, and we may have found some support here, 74, 76. Now, this could be a possible morning star. I'm gonna add that to my list. I don't think I had that on there. So find your favorite XLB stock and see if it has a setup like that, because if this is a morning star, then what you would be looking for would be this green 2 down, 2 up, and for it to come back up somewhat into this range. So you're just looking to catch the rip because you're expecting it to get shorted again. All right, so what you may have here is this consolidation may lead to a pop to come back up and test this EMA, which is really support for this entire move right here, and then die again. So that's the way that you could play it both ways. XOP kind of flagging here. Oh, well, this was an even bigger flag it broke out of, right? And so now it's flagging again. This is an ugly way to draw it, but that's because of this one right here on my neck. This is not helping, but yeah, there we go. We're flagging. So you want to look to see if it's going to break through here or through there, see if it actually does anything. It is giving us an inverted head and shoulders, sort of. It's not clean, but it is an inverted head and shoulders, but short term, there's a head and shoulders here though, so it can kind of go either way. We're still above the 200, so I wouldn't be bearish on it completely. And like I said, you got an inverted head and shoulders here. There is a small gap there to fill, so this may be an either way play. It may come back down and retest this 200 to really show that it's who's in control. And then boom from there. So we would just have to see. XRT, all under EMAs. We are bearish. There's no actionable signal. You'll see that a lot of these do not have actionable signals, y'all. It's one of those things where the week is going to probably have to set up. You'll have to find a daily or 4-hour entry, because all of these weekly charts just look like this, where it's already a 2 down. And it's no shooter, it's no hammer, it's no actionable signal to give you any indication as to where it's going to go. So what you have to do is look at higher time frames and assume, or not assume, predict where is the next 2, as Rob would say. Rest in peace, Rob. Does this look real? Okay, sorry about that, y'all. XRT on the daily, below the 200, and all the EMAs. So I like plays like this just because, again, like I said, you can wait for it to retest the EMAs and then drop again. Okay, I had to talk about this because I'm upset, y'all. This is my type of play. I love being a bear. And the fact that I called this going up, I want to say I called it around here. I called this, but didn't catch that. And we look at this every week, and I was sitting there saying, oh yeah, it's 2 down, 2 down. Look at that, y'all. I just had to point out this absolutely beautiful swing that we missed. If you caught it, put a comment in the comments. Let me know. If you caught any of my plays, y'all, comment and let me know. I honestly look back at the 2-week list from last week, and they all hit. Every single one of them. Most of the times, the weekly plays that I give on here hit. So if you're taking these plays, let me know. Just leave me a comment. Leave me a thumbs up. There's nothing going on here except this being shorted. It's respecting this 8 EMA, like to the T. It cannot get above it. It's rejected every time it gets there. So as far as where it can go, it's pretty much exhausted at this point. We have this fresh GTO, but we do know that we can, I mean, if it wants to get to 1125 and die off the face of the planet, then that's what it's going to do. Oh, lit is another one, the same thing that's been happening. You do still have further it can go. You have this head and shoulders here. It's now playing out. We can get all the way down to as much as 39.45. But, and it doesn't look as bad as Jets, but basically, you know, on the weekly, it's been dying. It's under its 200. It's bearish. Like 100% bearish. SMH. All right, first of all, we're going to point out that SMH on the quarter has triggered down. All right, at 140, that should trigger down, and our target is going to be 118.75. Okay, so that is what we're looking at with SMH. We do not have an actionable signal here. Again, hopefully we have maybe an inside week. I really don't know that we will, but for all we know, we can have another 2 down to get us down to this 128 here. And wait, what was the 118 is the quarter trigger there. So this is looking a lot like NASDAQ. We are sitting at the 200. So if we do want to fall, we have a gap, huge gap here to fill, just like NVIDIA. Okay, so watch NVIDIA, SMH, chips. I'm still bearish on chips. I was bearish on chips last week. I'm still bearish on chips. Again, you won't have an actionable signal on the weekly. You just have to find your daily entry. So, I mean, even this daily entry here, 2-1, 2 down if it decides to go. Or you might want to wait until it comes back up and retests and then dies again. Alright, SOXL is being beat down. It boomed, stayed up here for weeks, and came right back down. So it's not doing anything, but it is bearish. It has lost the 200 again and stayed under there. Transportation, same thing. This one looks again like Jets because again, I called it out of this breakout, but I missed all of this. This is what I like. So I missed transportation. You got this fresh TTO. Can it still go? Yeah, may want to go for these people here. Oh, excuse me. But we have fallen a lot, y'all. A lot. So keep that in mind. We are under our 200 though. So if anything, we may rip, but then you can expect to short the rip until things change. China is not doing much of anything, except I believe it was Baidu that I liked. Yes, we have a possible morning star on Baidu. Is that on our weekly list? It was supposed to be. Let's I feel like there's something in here that's not on here. Maybe I had put it on my phone. 1 second, y'all. Because I didn't have a whole lot this week. Okay, then I must have took that off. So, okay, I know it's right there. Okay, no, I guess I do have that right. Alright, so yeah, Baidu, you have a possible morning star here. So if it does move, we will be looking for the 2 down, 2 up to come back up into to this target of 125. Alright, so that's what I will be looking for if Baidu is going to do it. Again, we're bearish on China. We are under 200 on all China. So it's in short the rip mode, period. Alright, so last but not least, our weekly list. We already talked about XLB and Baidu with the morning stars. So we are looking to see if these will be a 2 down, 2 up. A morning star is usually a doji that has gapped down at the bottom of a downtrend. So looking to see if they have a relief pop based off of this candle print. Alright, these are a couple of 2-week plays. Crowd has triggered 2-week down, so if it wants to still go. ZS is another one. I'm looking for a 147 if it wants to do that. This is almost an evening star on the 2-week chart, so sometimes it can take a little bit longer than that time frame Kiki and I noticed. All right. Before I get into the 2-week triggers, I wanted to point out, I just knew okay, I took that off of here. I had Amazon on here, just in case, because Amazon was saved by earnings last week. Now, Amazon is in a place that I would not trade it, okay, because we are in between all of these EMAs. Now, what I'm pointing out here is if Amazon does do a rev strat up and it can break above this 131.21, then we can target this 134.71, and it'll break out of this range. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at to see if it's not quite a hammer, but it is a reversal. After it hit the bottom of that brawling formation, it reversed. Again, it can still stay in this range, and this is the other option. Now that it came back up, remember what we talk about when things fall, coming back up to retest the EMAs. Now that we've come back up and retested, again, I wouldn't play it while it's here. But if we break out of this downtrend to the upside, we can definitely do that. Or this can surely two up, two down, like Microsoft did, and come back down and at least test this 200 here at this 123.73. We may hang out at this area a while, but Amazon may be an either way play. If it does this 2 up, 2 down, it may be dope for Monday. Alright, so we did crowd NZS. The last one before the quarter triggers is McDonald's with the inside week. There was not a lot of inside weeks, y'all. Alright, oh, this is because it's on the weekly. Not a lot of inside weeks. A lot of the things had basically 2 down. Most stocks were 2 down, as you can see. So this is one inside week that's in a tight range that we do want to pay attention to. Let me fix these lines. Yeah, that's close enough. So we're flagging. All right, we're flagging with lower highs. So McDonald's could break either way, but it's looking to the downside. So if we get a 212 down, we can target this 248, or a 212 up, we can target 262. When you look at it on larger time frames, we've already hit, like, there's no big trigger to say, oh, this is triggering, one triggers the other, except that the 2-week could possibly trigger down. I think 245.88 is going to be a super strong support. If it dies from there, it has a long way to go. So I think that will be the first strong major of support that we'll have with McDonald's. Okay. All right, real quick, I'm gonna go through these. What has triggered the quarter down and still has room? BA, RCL. Keeping in mind that this 78 is going to be a strong support, but it can still keep going to that 58. We already talked about SMH. ON is a semiconductor, so of course that will be on here right around SMH, as will NVIDIA. It has not triggered yet, but that's what we're looking for. XLK Technology, again, it has not triggered yet, but we're looking to see if it does, if Apple will be able to save the market from triggering the quarter down. TTWO just triggered it down, plenty of room. JPM, you missed a good portion of this move, but it still has room to go. XLC, we have triggered the quarter down, so you have plenty of room there. Remember, we have 2 more months of quarter, so if we're going to stay bearish, we can do it. AMD triggered and came back in, so watching to see whichever way it goes, because we know that 94 is a pretty strong area. But remember, not too long ago when AMD was hanging around in the 80s for forever, yeah, we may go back there. Oracle still has a little bit of room to the downside. Visa has not triggered yet, but it is close to that trigger. 228 is going to be your trigger down, so that may be a decent swing. And then CRM has already triggered and has a little bit more room to the downside. So that is what I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Happy trading, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.